Welcome to Midlife Moves, where we're figuring out this whole midlife thing one day, one workout, and one what the hell just happened moment at a time. I'm Heather, and if you're navigating career shifts, fitness goals, parenting teenagers, or just wondering when the hell we became the grown-ups, you're in the right place. Let's talk about the real stuff, no filters, just honest conversations and a little bit of chaos. Let's get into it. Hi, friends. Welcome back to Midlife Moves. In today's episode, I got to sit down with my pastor, Pastor Julie DeWerth, which is someone, she was on the top 3 list when I decided that I wanted to take on this little project. She is as wise as she is warm, and she is one of the most open-hearted and accepting people I've probably ever met. Let me say this up front. This isn't a churchy episode. I'm not super active in my church. And I'm definitely not here to preach. So you can believe what you want to believe. But I am someone who thinks about faith a lot, especially as I've gotten older and life has gotten messier and more layered. This conversation is about how our beliefs evolve as we grow, how we hold space for questions, and why love, at the end of the day, is what's worth standing on. Pastor Julie has a way of making you feel seen, whether you're in the middle of a crisis, a transition, or just trying to figure out what you believe in. I walked away from this conversation feeling a little more grounded and a lot more curious. I hope you enjoy listening to it as much as I enjoyed having it. Let's get into it. Today, I'm sitting down with someone who truly embodies faith in action. Thank you. Pastor Julie DeWerth. Pastor Julie, as she is affectionately known to everyone here at Good Shepherd, has been my mentor in faith for 15 years.
Yeah. Well, a little less. I've been here 15.
It's probably been like 13 or 14 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you have made Good Shepherd home for me, despite not coming back a whole lot since COVID.
Yeah, that's all right.
We get sidetracked.
Yeah, we do. We all do. Church is very different since COVID. So it just is.
Yeah. Before we go into everything, if you could describe your life right now in 3 words, what would they be?
I have one word, and it's so important that I'd say it 3 times. Changes, changes, changes. Mm-hmm. So this is so fun to be doing. And it's fun to be doing today because in 2 days I turn the big 6-0. Okay. So we're doing this about, when you asked me if I'd be part of this, and we talked about faith as we grow older. I guess I'm growing older. I mean, the chances that I'm really middle-aged, I'm going to live to 120 are pretty slim at this point. So I'm older. I mean, as much as I don't feel older, I am older. So, but I feel like lots of my life is changing. My kids are grown. One is married now. One's engaged. One is still seeking a partner. And my relationship with them has changed. My relationship to my faith is different. The older I get, that's still evolving. So I'm going to just tweak it and say one word 3 times. Change, change, change.
Which is also the overall theme of this podcast in general.
Oh, great.
I think a lot of people listening will find that like everything, faith evolves as we grow. And
yes, it does.
At different points in our life, it plays different roles.
Yes.
So how you and I talked a little bit about what that means, like how you have seen faith change, and like have even you as a pastor,
right?
As you've aged and grown in your faith, it's changed. Do you want to talk a little bit?
I would love to talk about that. So I have a great example of it. So when I was first ordained, and I've been a pastor now, I think we said 34 years. I used to do premarital counseling with people who are going to get married. So people come into your office and you talk to them, and so I would take information about them. So where do you live? And, all these type of things. And I would sit there, and either the groom or the bride would poke the other and say, give them your mother's address. Because they were living together.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of shame in that 34 years ago.
Uh-huh.
So they didn't feel that they could be honest with their pastor that they were living together. Now, at the time, I didn't care they were living, but they didn't I think their parents probably told them, tell her you live with us or something like that. So that is just one example of how things have changed, because now people just come into my office. There's no question about it. They're usually living together. They say that. They usually have met online. There was no online 34 years ago. So no one was meeting that way. People are getting married older. So those are some examples. Well, I mean, the church has just changed dramatically. I mean, we are not, more and more people are saying that they're nuns, not N-U-N, but N-O-N-E. So when you mark, your religious affiliation, they mark nun. I have 3 boys who are grown. None of them go to church. Yeah. They aren't hostile to the church. They'll come on Christmas Eve if you bribe them with something. Actually, they don't even need to be bribed. They're delighted to come. But it's not the same, right? Yeah. This generation, that's one of the stretches for the church, is we need to find ways to be able to bring young people into the church. And it's meeting different needs. I mean, there weren't a lot of, like when my parents were growing up, they just went to church. I mean, there weren't a lot of other competing activities or competing social groups or anything. That's where their friends were. But we need to find other ways. And I think one of the ways the church is doing that is by service activities. People want to serve. Yeah. And the way that I phrase it as we love God, and we go, and God loves us, and we go forward, and we love God's people. God. So that's kind of how I see it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so, and it's interesting because I don't know if you remember this, when Kaylee made her confirmation, and her confirmation it was during COVID.
Yep.
So it was live streamed.
Yep.
And her confirmation speech was very much, I'm still trying to figure everything out.
Yes.
I know I know that there's something, but I'm trying to figure everything out.
I love that.
And you were very open to that.
Oh.
Many people were not.
But did you get a little pushback?
I got a little pushback.
Interesting.
I got many messages from people here that were like, that took a lot for her to get up there and do.
Yeah.
But is that what you're hearing just more from the youth? Like, is that kind of what you're seeing?
Youth, the adults.
And us.
All of us.
These are conversations you and I have had.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I have a lot. This is the way that I phrase it. I have a lot more questions than answers.
Yeah.
And I'm actually a lot more interested in the questions than in the answers. I mean, if we talk about how faith evolves as we get older, this is true for me, and I see this with other people as well. There's a lot less certainty. I was certain about a lot of things, and I am not as certain anymore about those things. There is one thing that I am certain of that I will stake a claim on, and that is love.
Yeah.
And that's it. Other than that, it's a lot of questions. And I think they're much more interesting to explore anyway. So that's what your daughter was doing.
They're fascinating to explore.
They are.
Yeah.
But I'm not willing to tolerate anything that is not of love.
Yeah.
That is, I'm willing to stand on that.
Yeah.
That if it is not of love, it is not of God.
Well, you have always been open to all kinds of love. You made Good Shepherd a very open place for everyone.
Well, thanks.
You made it very LGBTQ friendly. You have opened this space up to all groups. It's really, I mean, like, that is really what you live by.
So I have a thing. Yes, I want everyone up here.
Yeah.
And I like to say that, I mean, we're not a rich church. But we're not a poor church either. I mean, we're holding our own. But I like to say, I want the lights on 7 nights a week up at this church, because I want and we're up on a hill. So I want it to be a shining beacon. I want groups to come in. I want AA, NA. I want the Girl Scouts. I want the Boy Scouts. I want the political parties to meet here. I want to make this a space where everyone is welcome to meet. We right now, we house Meals on Wheels here now. Their office is up here now.
Okay.
So I'm delighted by that we get people. I want this to be a busy place and a community hub. It's been said that this is a question that sometimes pastors are asked. If your church wasn't there, would anyone in your community know? Which is a really good question.
Yeah,
because if you are a church that doesn't have the lights on all the time at night, welcoming groups in, some people may not know that church exists.
Yeah.
I am certain that people know this church.
Yes. From
our preschool, from all of our AA groups, and just Meals on Wheels now. So yeah, people know us. Yeah. And we do have those banners that we usually have out. Right now, we've taken them down. We're going to put them up before Easter again. For those who haven't seen them, they're on our website. And they're banners. They say they're doors, and they are in the rainbow flag. It says, God's doors are open to all. So that has been a message to our community that is who we are. We are a community that's welcome to all God's people.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and you've always exhibited that.
Yeah.
Always.
Well, that's the highest compliment you can give me. And that we welcome the questions.
Yeah.
That we welcome the questions. And I'm always happy when someone tells me on Sunday morning that they don't agree with something I said in church. And I'm like, come in, let's talk. Yeah. I want to hear more. I want to hear more about what I may not agree with them, or I might agree with them. I don't know, but I want to hear more. Yeah. You know, being a community that is open to all has its challenges though too. It's not all rainbows and butterflies. Yeah. That means that we have to be a place that's tolerant of Republicans and Democrats alike.
Yes.
That is hard in this climate. That is hard. Very hard. It's hard for me. It's hard for all of us. But we do have people here on both sides of the political spectrum. The only thing that I ask is that we are tolerant and we listen to each other. And that we're not going to agree. And our tradition and the Lutheran tradition, we don't tell people how to vote. We trust that people are smart, they're prayerful, and they will vote their conscience. And that they will vote according to the gospel. Yes. Which is love.
Which is love.
Now that's going to be interpreted different ways. I may not agree with them all. I don't agree with them all, but that doesn't matter. We can be a place where we're stronger together. And that is actually, I can transition into that is actually what I think the kids are missing. They're missing community. It's hard for people to form community these days.
That I agree with.
Older people too.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, because when you're young, we both know you're friends with all the kids. You go sit on the baseball field or whatever, and you're sitting with other parents and you're getting to know them. But as you get older, you don't have those connections. Now, you still have somebody at home. So you still are kind of in that place. But I talk to lots of people like that they just feel it's lonely. People are lonely.
Well, people can be lonely even when they're surrounded by people.
Indeed, that's true. But that's because they're not having authentic relationship.
That's accurate.
So I think the church is a place where we can have authentic relationship.
Yes.
That is my hope.
Yes.
And what do we do about that with our younger people? Like if you're a young person and you move someplace to take a job, how do you meet people? I mean, especially if you are working at home. Now, the people that work in an office, okay, then maybe you can kind of meet people. But it's hard.
Yeah.
I'm seeing that. My own kids. To form community is hard.
Yeah.
I think the church is a good place to do that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we haven't been able to kind of put that forward in a way that kids are hearing, that 20-somethings. Because after you graduate from college, if you go to college and you graduate, then you're off in the world, right?
Yes. Yeah. Once you're within this church, I know that some of the things that we've done like the soup suppers.
Yeah.
We did like all of those things.
Come to soup suppers.
I should.
And we have these beautiful worship services afterwards too.
Yeah.
So anyway, okay. It's a good way to entry back in.
What are some of the other ways that you feel like we could be creating community within the faith or within the church?
Right. Well, we're doing some of them. If I had all the answers, we'd be in better shape, right? I mean, we'd have more. But not that we're in bad shape. But I think one of the ways we have these pub theologies. So that's one thing we do. So we go to Little Sicily's and we share a meal together. And then we have a discussion question. And they're different discussions. And some of them are more faith related. Some of them are not. Some of them are more secular. I wish I could think of any of them that we've used recently. But that's community, right? Built around questions. We have book studies. We aren't reading particularly religious books. Now, that's not to say that we don't add our faith into it and how that impacts, but that's community too. And those and I think there are other places that people find community in the world. I mean, I'm not saying the church is the only place. No, but I can remember this is a lot of years ago now, but I was at a gym. I was part of a gym and I went to the same class every week, twice a week. And I ended up with a breast cancer scare, and I didn't have it, but I had a lumpectomy. They all sent me flowers, the people from the class. So you can have community lots of places. Yeah. Part of what keeps me in the game is that I think there's nothing like community in the church. Because if you have an authentic relationship and people are able to be authentic with each other and share the questions and the things that weigh on their hearts. I don't want to forget to also talk about a little bit. One of the things I value doing is I'm the convener of the Upper Marion Ministerium of Clergy. So that's the rabbi in town, that's the Presbyterian. We just had a meeting with the superintendent of schools to talk about what weighs on her heart, what keeps her up at night. And that gave us an opportunity to talk about, as leaders in this community, how are we going to work together to foster a better community? And we can do that work together.
That was probably a really interesting meeting to have.
Fascinating.
Because she's new to our school district.
1 year.
1 year.
She's from Philadelphia. She spoke about how about the challenges that she's experienced under this administration that we're experiencing. But she also was really clear that that she is not political. Their mission remains the same no matter what. Their mission is to educate our children. But I think it's very important as clergy to be connected to our community. I mean, I've served as a chaplain in our police department to help them to respond when they have people that are experiencing spiritual needs, or there's been a death notification or something like that. So I think for me, if I'm not rooted in my community and not engaged in what's happening here, there's no point to any of this. Right. Because how are we going to make love known?
Right.
Yes.
I love you so much.
I love you too.
So if we can, on that topic of love, and love being such a big concept in faith, but it's something that we all wrestle with.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it's self-love, loving others, or accepting love. How has your understanding of love evolved over the years?
Yeah, I think when I was younger, it was much more of an emotion. And the older I get, the more I don't think it's not much of an emotion for me anymore. I guess that's just because I'm turning 60 in 2 days, but maybe some people feel it is, but I think it's an action. I think it's love in action. So how am I going to be loving toward my neighbor? How am I going to be forgiving? I do that with varying success. Let's be honest. I mean, if you were to, one of the biggest misconceptions, I think, about clergy is that somehow we're not real, or people are very careful about, like, if they swear in front of me and like, oh, I'm sorry, Pastor. I'm a mom of 3 boys. I have struggles. I don't share those with everybody, but my Lord, I've had a journey. So I'm very clear about that. This is about action.
Yeah.
Love and action. Are we going to show up for each other?
Yes.
And not to solve each other's problems, but to walk alongside one another, that you're not alone.
Yes.
And that's what I aim to do.
Yes.
With our community, the wider community. This is another example of ways I've been involved in the community. They had a bomb scare a number of years ago. and up at the high school. And I went up there along with the other clergy. I called them all. I said, anyone around? Let's go up. Let's support. You're not alone. It's the message of you're not alone. We are here with you. We are community together. So how does love change? It's about action. Love and action.
Love and action.
Yeah, love and action.
That.
But
that
again,
feels good. Like that just feels good to listen to.
It does. It feels good, but it's so hard to do. It's so hard to do.
It's really easy to lose sight of.
Yep.
Like you get lost in life sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Forget.
Well, and I'm tired.
Yeah.
And so like I know what I should do.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do it.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'm like, I'm too tired. I am not going to do that.
Yeah. I just need a break.
I just need a break. And that's okay too. But I think that is what the gospel is calling us to do. That's what Jesus did. And just model after Jesus. That's what he did.
That's all.
It's all like in the brain. It's easy. Yes. Not easy. Not easy. So
when you reframe it and when you think about those stories that we've heard, Sunday after Sunday after Sunday, and you really stop and think like, what would Jesus do in this scenario?
Yeah.
It kind of like makes things a little bit clearer.
Even if you can't do it.
Even if you can't, well, but it's also like, I think I know what he wouldn't do.
I know what he wouldn't. Yeah. Could go into that one. We will not do that.
We could talk a little bit about, I think that gets into politics a little too much.
Yeah, it does.
Can we talk about grace?
Yeah.
And what that means? Like we hear all the time, like showing someone grace. Giving ourselves grace.
Giving ourselves grace too. Well, it's interesting. That's where it gets kind of theological for me, right? Okay. Because I grew up in the Lutheran church, and so it just I just slid into this, as you know, because you were Catholic and you just kind of slid into that, and then you slid out of it. I never slid out, so. And there's a lot of things about, of course, the church that I find difficult and all those things, but. One of the things I loved about Martin Luther is that that's what he kind of hung on to, is that we are forgiven. That's it. Grace upon grace upon grace and loved. So if God has forgiven me and given me grace, what right do I have to withhold that from anyone else? I do withhold it from other people on occasion. I do too. But again, what you said is true. I know what I should do, and I'm prayerfully working through that to constantly get into that place. So that's what I love about Lutheranism, is about this unconditional free grace. And the closest I can get to that in my own life is with my children. I think a lot of parents could say that probably.
Yes. I think that's accurate.
Yeah, I mean. That's that unconditional love that you would do anything for your kids, Yes. Yeah. Everybody else, I don't know. But them I would do anything for. So that's, God loves me like that, except even better.
Except even better.
Yes. So how do I enact that? And that's I think as we get older, that's one of the things that we keep living into. Right? Because we have more time.
Yes.
I talk to a lot of younger moms, and they just feel like they're, when you had so many little kids,
you're just surviving.
You are surviving. Or not. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I tell this story, and you could decide whether you want to edit it or not. Okay. I had to go visit somebody at the psych ward, the hospital. Yeah. Okay. Maybe I've told you this story.
No, I don't know the story.
So I went to go visit this person at the psych ward, and as I was leaving, I went by a room that was empty, and there was a bed there. And this is when I had 3 little kids. I have twins, and I think they were like 2, and Sam was probably 5. I thought, I think I just want to be locked up in the psych ward and take a look. Will anyone even know I'm here? I felt like I should be there.
Yeah.
I had a full-time job.
Yes.
I was, you're not even laughing, because
Oh, I feel it. I understand.
Just climb in that bed. Just call it a day.
Yeah, this would be a nice little break.
A little break.
Mm-hmm.
So, and not to minimize psych wards.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Not we both know.
Yes.
You know.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
But so when I talk to young moms and dads too that are just burning the candle, right? I said there will come a day, you're not going to believe this, that it will be calmer.
Yeah.
You know, and I say, my sister, I talk about this all the time, that we have more time on our hands, and, you know, not to say we're not busy. We're both busy and both have jobs, but it's just a different pace.
It's different.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you can go to the gym, you can exercise, you can, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not this constant.
Yes.
So you have some space to do some of that mental work that you didn't have before, because before the mental space was all taken up with who needs to be where, when, and who needs a birthday present for this party. I mean, that was a different day.
So what did you find fulfilled you once you entered that space?
Oh, that's a work in progress.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's why I'm doing this podcast.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to figure
out what's to fill that space.
Yeah.
You know, I think continuing to be of service to others. And
you were always busy.
Sure. But in a different way now, right? I'm able to read. I read books. That's a crazy thing.
What are you reading? Anything good?
I just read The Many Lives of Mama Love.
Oh, I don't know that one.
It's about opioid addiction in the suburbs, which it's here.
Yeah.
So it's about that. That was excellent. I just read a lovely little book called Penguin Lessons. Mm-hmm. And it's about a man who is on he's British, but he's in Argentina at a boys' school, and he takes a little break from that, a little vacation, and he finds this penguin that's covered in from an oil slick, an oil spill. And he cleans them up and he brings them back. It's how this little penguin just changes the lives of those at the school and his life. And so it's a lovely, just a little book, but a lovely little book.
Aww.
So, and one of my favorite authors, of course, and I think you know this, is Anne Lamott.
Yes,
and she's always been someone who's just kind of carried me during very difficult times. Mm-hmm. So I have more time to read, more time to process, more time for friends. Mm-hmm. And I am blessed with just a lovely cohort of friends that we walk alongside each other through life. And of course, we're the sandwich generation, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm lucky enough to still have my mom, and then I have my kids, and God willing, I'll get some grandkids. And so there's responsibilities on all sides.
Yeah. Yeah. Before we wrap up, I have a few rapid fire questions for you.
Bring them on.
What's your go-to comfort food?
Coffee, ice cream, Haagen-Dazs.
Oh, Mikey would love you for that.
Well, I wouldn't share mine with Mikey.
Well, he wouldn't share his with you either, but you guys could talk about how much you love it.
I could just take that spoon and eat that baby. I don't even buy it but yeah, that's it. Oh yeah, that's it. Oh yeah.
If you weren't in ministry, what would you be doing?
In a ministry?
If you weren't in ministry.
Oh, if I was in ministry, I'd likely be, I'd want to do some nonprofit work. I'd want to probably be, I'm an oldest daughter, so I'm always, ask my sisters, I'm bossy. So I'd want to be the boss. And, but I'd want to be, well, I'm the oldest daughter, right? So they said I was bossy. So I'd want to be, I'd want to be the CEO of some nonprofit. Yeah. Very small. Yeah. Very small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is your favorite way to spend a Sunday afternoon?
Oh, that's so simple.
Is all done.
No, I'll do Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
My liturgical nap. I come home. I take my clothes. I put on my I put on my sweats, and I curl up and I take a nap. That's it. That's my favorite way.
I love it.
I love napping.
I love a nap. A good nap.
Nothing like a good nap.
No.
Yeah, I love a nap.
We talked about this a little bit, but a book or a song that has impacted you recently?
Yeah, not recently. I'm going to change it. Again, I'm going to go back to the beginning of our talk. One word, right? David Bowie's Changes. I would say that just continues to resonate. And I'm a big fan of Lake Street Dive. Little shout out to Lake Street Dive. Okay. They're a great little band. Okay. And I love them. So I was listening to them on the way, and people thought I was probably crazy because I'm blasting it and I'm jumping around. Yeah.
I've been listening to Kendrick Lamar since the Super Bowl.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like it?
Obsessed.
I'll have to check it out.
I'll have to check it out. You'll have to check it out. Yeah.
He didn't get a good rap from old people at the...
No. There's a certain demographic that didn't find it fun.
Yes, that's right. I didn't even listen to it, to tell you the truth. So I'm going to have to listen to this now.
It really wasn't in everyone's wheelhouse, though.
No, I guess not.
If you had to pick a life motto, what would it be?
Oh, boy. Keep on keeping on. Because it's nothing stays the same. And I try to remember that when I'm in a rough patch, this too will change. You know, you don't. Unfortunately, when you're in a flying high, this too will change too. Yes. But you don't know that when you're younger. You don't know that you just feel like you're going to be in this forever. You know, yes. I know. What's that saying they used to have? They were when kids. It was for part of the LGBTQ thing with kids, and they used to say, remember that? The kids were struggling, and they would tell them that things will get better. Maybe that was the line. It'll get better. And it will.
Eventually, it always does.
It does. And then it goes in the tank again. But yeah, it does.
Then it goes to shit again.
That goes to shit, yeah. But it goes up. I mean, this is life.
Yeah.
Welcome to it.
Welcome to it.
You know?
The only thing that's constant is change.
Yeah.
If someone is struggling with love, forgiveness, or grace right now, what's one thing you'd want them to hear?
Be patient with yourself. Be patient. Don't expect too much of yourself. Because I think people beat themselves up about that.
Yes.
And it doesn't do anybody any good. None of us. So don't beat yourself up. Be patient.
Yeah.
And know that you are loved.
Know that you're loved. I like that. Yeah.
Know that you're loved.
So, Pastor Julie, if someone listening wants to find you.
Oh, I'm so easy to find.
Where can they find you?
You can find me on Good Shepherd, King of Prussia on the YouTube channel. You can find us.
And I'll link all of that.
Will you?
I'll link. I'll figure it out. I'll figure out how to link it. Yeah.
Could you do that? Yeah. And Facebook. We have a Facebook page, and you can just like me on Facebook too. Yes. So yeah. So link me too.
This little church on the hill.
Yeah.
Pastor Julie, this has been amazing. That's it for this episode. If you had fun, learned something, or just feel a little less alone in the chaos, make sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss what's next. And if you want to keep the conversation going, come find me on Instagram @HeatherMoves_, because midlife is way more fun when we do it together. Until next time, keep moving forward, or at least keep moving. See ya.